The year was 2249. Humanity had spread across the stars, building small colonies in the nearby systems. People believed peace had finally come after centuries of fighting on Earth. But peace, it seemed, was never meant to last long. It began quietly. A signal came from deep space, soft, rhythmic, and strange. At first, scientists thought it was just static from a dying star. Then the pattern repeated itself again and again in perfect intervals. Someone or something was trying to talk. Within weeks, the message became clear. It was not just a greeting. It was a warning. The voice called itself the Zorai Council, and they claimed ownership of the Orion Belt where humanity had built a mining colony. The words were simple: leave immediately or face justice. The leaders of Earth laughed. They had heard of no Zorai before. How could unknown aliens claim a region no one had ever seen them in? The miners stayed and the ships kept working. 3 days later, the stars went dark. A fleet appeared above the mining station, smooth, silver ships moving in silence. There were no visible weapons, no radio signals. Then in one bright flash, every human ship stopped working. Engines failed, lights flickered, and silence filled the vacuum of space. The humans were alive but powerless. General Marcus Hale, commander of the Earth Defense Fleet, watched helplessly from his ship as the alien vessels surrounded them. His crew shouted, trying to restart systems, but the controls were dead. Marcus stood frozen. This was no ordinary enemy. This was power beyond human science. The aliens did not attack further. Instead, a single message appeared on every human screen: prepare to answer for your crimes. Soon after, Marcus was taken aboard one of their ships. The inside looked alive. Walls pulsed faintly with light as if the ship itself was breathing. Strange energy flowed through everything, humming like a quiet storm. He was guided by tall, graceful figures with pale blue skin and eyes that glowed faintly gold. They spoke in calm voices, never shouting, never showing anger. They called themselves the Zorai, an ancient race that lived by strict laws. For thousands of years, they had ruled their corner of the galaxy through something they called the Code of Harmony. Every species under their protection was required to follow it, or face alien justice. Marcus was brought before a vast hall filled with light. A figure sat on a floating chair, taller than any human, her presence commanding. She wore silver robes that shimmered like water. Her voice was soft but carried great weight when she spoke. "You humans," she said, "have violated the sacred law. You have taken what does not belong to you. According to the Code of Harmony, you must now restore balance." Marcus tried to explain. The humans had no idea this space was claimed. It was all a misunderstanding. But the Zorai leader only looked at him with calm, unreadable eyes. "Justice must be done," she said. Then something strange happened. Instead of executing them or destroying the colonies, the Zorai Council made an unexpected announcement. Every human male who entered Zorai space was to be bound by their law of unity, a law that stated no outsider could live among them unless they formed a union of harmony with 3 members of their kind. At first, no one understood what that meant. It sounded like diplomacy or alliance, but as the translators finished their work, the truth became clear. Every human man was to marry 3 Zorai women. It was not a request. It was an order. Back on the Earth fleet, the news spread like wildfire. Soldiers laughed, thinking it was a mistake. But when the Zorai ships escorted them to a shining planet covered in silver forests, the laughter stopped. Massive cities floated in the sky. Thousands of Zorai gathered to greet their new partners. The atmosphere was calm, but the message was clear: this was law, and the Zorai never broke their laws. Marcus stood among his crew, staring at the alien city ahead. He didn't know whether to feel fear or disbelief. He had expected a war. Instead, he faced something stranger: an ancient civilization forcing peace through marriage. But deep inside him, a question grew. Why marriage? Why this law? And what was the real purpose behind it? As the human ships landed, the Zorai escorts approached. 3 women, tall and graceful, each with patterns of light on their skin that moved like waves. Their eyes met Marcus's, calm but full of unspoken thoughts. One of them stepped forward and said softly, "Welcome to the planet of harmony, Commander. Your trial begins now." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. This was not a victory, nor was it surrender. It was something far more complicated, something he could not yet understand. The stars above shimmered faintly as if watching what would happen next. Humanity had wanted to conquer space. Now space had conquered humanity in a way no one could have imagined. And somewhere deep in his mind, Marcus knew the real war had only just begun. Marcus Hale stood in the soft light of the alien world, surrounded by air that shimmered faintly with silver dust. The Zorai planet looked like something from a dream. The sky was a deep gray blue, and the trees had glowing leaves that moved gently without wind. Everything felt alive, calm, beautiful, and dangerous at the same time. The humans were taken to a vast white hall where hundreds of Zorai gathered. There was no sound except the gentle hum of light running through the walls. Each human stood with 3 Zorai women beside him. Some looked curious, others serious, but none of them showed fear. They moved with grace, as if they were used to control and balance. Marcus's assigned partners stood silently near him. The first had long black braids with silver threads woven through them. Her name was Aran. Her eyes glowed faint gold and her expression was calm but strong. The second, named Sira, had white hair and eyes like liquid silver. The third, Lyra, looked younger, with soft blue markings on her cheeks and a curious smile that flickered and vanished quickly whenever he looked her way. A tall Zorai official stepped forward. His voice echoed in the hall. "Human males, by the judgment of the council, you are to unite under the code of harmony. Refusal will break the balance and justice will follow. Acceptance will bring peace," Marcus tried to speak. "What if we refuse this law? We are soldiers, not partners." The official looked at him calmly. "Then humanity will face extinction." "The code does not bend." A silence followed. Marcus could hear the sound of his own heart. Every man in the room realized there was no escape. This was not a negotiation. This was survival, and the only way to live was to follow the alien rule. The ceremony began. Light flowed from the floor like water, circling each human and the 3 Zorai chosen for him. The air vibrated with a deep hum, and suddenly, Marcus felt a strange warmth move through his body. It was not pain, but it felt like his mind was being touched. He heard faint whispers, not from voices, but from thoughts. Aaron looked at him. "Do not fight it. The bond will not harm you." "The bond?" Marcus asked, but the words faded as bright light filled his vision. Images flashed through his mind. Vast alien cities, oceans of glowing water, and the Zorai's long history. He saw wars they had fought, worlds they had saved, and a law that had been passed ages ago to prevent destruction between species. The Union of Harmony was created after a great war among the stars, to make peace between conquerors and victims. Every conquered species was forced into unity with the victors, to prevent more wars, to share minds, and to understand one another. It was not marriage for love. It was marriage for peace. When the light faded, Marcus was breathing heavily. His head felt heavy and his heart pounded. Aaron stepped closer, her voice soft. "Now you are part of us, Commander Hale. You cannot return to what you were." He stared at her. "You connected to my mind." "Yes," she said. "That is the law of balance. You share our thoughts, our emotions, our truth." Lyra tilted her head, watching him with curiosity. "You humans feel chaos inside. It is strange, loud, but beautiful." Marcus didn't know what to say. He felt their emotions brushing against his mind. Calm, disciplined, but layered with something deeper. There was sadness there, and fear. He turned to Aaron. "You don't want this either, do you?" Aaron's eyes glowed faintly. "We obey the code, it keeps our people alive. But this time, something feels wrong. The council hides a secret from even us." Before Marcus could ask, a sound filled the hall, a deep tone like thunder rolling through the air. A massive holographic symbol appeared above them. The Zorai Council had arrived again. The same tall leader who had sentenced humanity appeared in the shimmering light. Her eyes burned with golden fire. "The unions are complete," she said. "From this day, humans are bound to the Zorai. You will live among us, learn our ways, and never bring war again." Then her tone changed, colder, heavier. "But remember this, there is one rule above all others. No human may reject the bond, and no human may break it. To do so would destroy both our worlds." The hall fell silent. Marcus felt a chill spread through him. What did she mean by destroy both worlds? Was it just a warning or something real? Later that night, Marcus stood in a small chamber with his 3 Zorai partners. The room glowed softly with living light. Sira was silent, staring at the stars outside. Lyra sat by the glowing wall, tracing shapes with her finger. Aaron faced Marcus, her voice steady. You must understand, Commander. The rule is not a threat, it is real. The bond links our life energy. If you reject it, if your heart turns fully away, both species will feel the collapse. Marcus frowned. That's impossible. She looked at him sadly. It is alien justice. Outside, the alien city shimmered beneath the twin moons. Strange music floated through the air, soft, haunting, and full of longing. For the first time, Marcus realized he was no longer just a soldier. He was part of something far larger, something he couldn't yet understand. And deep inside him, he felt something new, an echo of emotion that wasn't his own. Aaron's calm strength, Sierra's quiet sorrow, Lyra's spark of curiosity. Their thoughts brushed his again like waves on a shore. The bond was real. The law was real, and the one rule, the one that could destroy everything, was just beginning to reveal its meaning. The days that followed were quiet but heavy. Marcus lived among the Zorai, learning their ways, their language, and their strange sense of balance. Everything around him moved with order and calm. There was no shouting, no rushing, no chaos like on human ships. Even the wind seemed to follow invisible patterns. Every morning began the same way. The Zorai city woke slowly, the glowing towers breathing light into the sky. Silver birds drifted through the air like paper leaves. Marcus often stood on the balcony, trying to understand this world that had forced peace upon him. His partners, Aaron, Sierra, and Lyra, watched him carefully. They tried to teach him the Zorai ways, how to walk in harmony, how to control thoughts during the mind link, how to sense emotions without speaking. But Marcus struggled. His mind was loud, full of doubt and questions. One morning, during a quiet lesson, Lyra spoke first. You humans keep secrets even inside your minds, she said softly. It makes noise when we try to connect. Marcus smiled faintly. That's because we're used to thinking alone. Sierra looked at him with her calm silver eyes. The council says your kind must learn union, not independence. They think your freedom is dangerous, Marcus frowned. Dangerous? For wanting to choose? Aaron interrupted. To them, choice leads to chaos. Long ago, the Zorai almost destroyed themselves because of choice. That is why the code exists. It binds minds, not just bodies. He turned to her. But what happens if someone breaks the bond? Her expression grew dark. No one has ever survived that. The word stayed with him for hours. No one survived. That meant others had tried. Later that evening, Marcus wandered into the lower levels of the city. The air there was thicker, filled with glowing mist. Strange plants grew along the walls, whispering faintly like voices. He followed a narrow path until he reached a massive gate guarded by 2 Zorai soldiers. This area is forbidden to humans, one of them said without emotion. Marcus nodded slowly, but his curiosity grew stronger. Something behind that gate felt alive. He could sense faint pulses through the floor like heartbeats. When he returned to his chamber, Aaron was waiting for him. Her tone was calm but sharp. You went too far today. So you were watching me? He said. We all were, Sierra replied quietly. The bond allows us to feel your intent. When your curiosity grows, it touches us. Marcus rubbed his temples. Then you already know why I went there. I can feel something under this city. Something hidden. Aaron looked at the others, then stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You are right. There is something beneath harmony. Something the council keeps secret even from most of us. What is it? He asked. She hesitated. We call it the core of unity. It is said to be the heart of our world. The bond energy comes from there. Without it, our society would fall apart. Lyra added softly. And it's what connects you to us now. Marcus stared at them. You mean my mind is tied to that thing? Sierra nodded. Yes, the bond runs through the core. That is why the one rule exists. If a human rejects the bond, the core becomes unstable. It could collapse everything. The Zorai, the humans, the link between our worlds. Marcus felt his chest tighten. So it's not about marriage. It's about control. Aaron didn't answer. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. The whispers of the bond filled his mind. Aaron's discipline, Sierra's calm sorrow, Lyra's restless curiosity. He felt all of it at once, as if their emotions had become part of his own. But underneath it all was another voice, faint and strange, like static from a distant signal. He sat up and listened. The whisper grew clearer. Help us, Marcus froze. Who said that? The voice came again, but it wasn't one of his partners. It felt ancient, broken, buried deep within the bond. They lied to you, human. The core is not harmony. It is a prison. He stood slowly, his heart racing. The room was still. The three Zorai slept peacefully, unaware. Marcus whispered, "Who are you?" The voice faded, leaving only silence. The next day, Marcus couldn't stop thinking about it. During training, he asked Lyra, "Do you ever hear voices in the bond that aren't ours?" She blinked, confused. "Voices?" "No, only emotions. Why?" He shook his head. "Nothing. Just wondering." But Sira was watching him carefully. "Be careful, Marcus. The bond can play tricks when your thoughts are too loud." That evening, Marcus decided to test something. He sat quietly and tried to focus on the connection between his mind and the others. Slowly, he pulled his thoughts away, tried to disconnect. At first, nothing happened. Then pain shot through his head like fire. Aaron cried out in another room. Lyra fell to her knees. The walls trembled faintly. "Stop!" Aaron shouted, running toward him. "You can't break it. You'll hurt all of us." Marcus gasped, holding his head. The pain faded, but his heart pounded in terror. "You said it was about balance. This feels like a chain." Aaron's expression softened, filled with sadness. "Maybe both are true." Outside, thunder rolled across the alien sky. Lightning flashed, lighting up the towers of harmony. Marcus looked out at the endless city and wondered what kind of justice forced peace through pain. Somewhere deep below, beneath the shining surface, the core of unity pulsed once, slow, heavy, almost alive. And for the first time, Marcus felt that the real enemy might not be the Zorai at all, but the thing they served. Days turned into weeks, but Marcus could not forget the voice that whispered to him that night. Each time he closed his eyes, he heard faint echoes, not from Aaron, Sira, or Lyra, but from somewhere deeper in the bond. It spoke in broken thoughts like an ancient signal lost in static. "We were once free. They bound us too." The words made no sense at first, yet they carried pain, the kind that felt older than the stars themselves. Aaron noticed the change in him. She watched as he sat by the glowing walls, his eyes distant. "You're hearing it again, aren't you?" she asked softly. Marcus nodded. "Something in the bond is alive. It's not just our minds connected. There's someone or something else in there." Sira lowered her gaze. "That voice is forbidden to speak of. The council calls it an echo of the first link. We are told it's only memory. Memory doesn't ask for help," Marcus said. Silence fell. The three alien women exchanged uneasy glances. Even Lyra, who was always curious, avoided meeting his eyes. Later that night, Aaron led Marcus to a quiet chamber at the edge of the city. It was shaped like a dome, with flowing lights that shifted color slowly. "This is the Hall of Harmony," she said. "It's where the bond between species began." The walls glowed brighter as they entered. Strange carvings ran along the floor, symbols older than the Zorai language itself. At the center stood a crystal pillar that pulsed like a living heart. Aaron placed her hand on it. The light responded to her touch. Long ago, before the Code of Harmony, the Zorai were divided. We fought among ourselves, destroying worlds. The first leaders created the core to join our minds, to remove hate, greed, and fear. It worked, we became one. But unity has a price. Marcus stepped closer. "You mean freedom?" Aaron looked at him. "Yes, without it there is no chaos, but also no true choice." He stared at the glowing crystal. "Then why force humans into this?" "Because the core is weakening," Sira said quietly. She had followed them inside without sound. "The link that keeps our race in harmony is dying. The council believes your species can strengthen it." Marcus turned to her sharply. "So this marriage law, it's not about peace at all. It's about saving your world." Aaron's silence confirmed it. Lyra's voice trembled as she finally spoke. "We didn't know until now. The council told us it was balance. But if the core fails, all connected to it will die. Zorai and human both." The realization hit Marcus hard. They weren't partners in peace. They were replacements, living batteries for an ancient machine. He stepped back, his mind spinning. "You're using us to keep this alive. That's why no one can break the bond. That's the one rule." Aaron's expression was full of regret. "If the bond collapses, the core releases all the energy at once. It will destroy both our civilizations. The council hides this truth because fear would break the unity they built." Marcus clenched his fists. "So we're prisoners, and if I resist, everyone dies." Lyra's eyes glowed faintly blue. "Not everyone. Some of us believe the core can be freed, not destroyed. but no one dares to try. Marcus felt anger rise inside him, but also pity. The Zorai weren't monsters. They were trapped by their own law. Just like him. He looked at Aaron. If we could reach the core, could we disconnect it safely? Sira shook her head. Impossible. The council keeps the path guarded. No one enters the lower chambers without their command. Aaron's voice lowered. Unless they have a human key. Marcus blinked. A what? She stepped closer. When the first bonds were made, the core responded to two energies, Zorai and human. The balance between them kept it stable. The core recognizes you, Marcus. You may be able to enter. He stared at her, shocked. You want me to go there? Aaron nodded slowly. If the core fails, all of us die anyway. If you can find a way to release its control, maybe we can save both worlds. Lyra took his hand, her skin warm and glowing faintly. We'll help you. All three of us. Marcus looked at them, uncertain. But if the council finds out, they will. Sira interrupted softly. And when they do, they'll call it treason. But maybe. This is the justice we need. A storm began to rise outside. The twin moons vanished behind dark clouds and the city lights dimmed. Alarms echoed faintly through the towers. Aaron turned toward the window. The core is reacting again. It's growing unstable. Marcus felt the ground vibrate under his feet. The light in the walls flickered like fire. Somewhere deep below, a massive pulse echoed. Slow, heavy, alive. He felt the bond tighten in his chest like invisible chains pulling on his mind. The voice returned, louder now, clearer. Free us before it's too late. Marcus gasped, holding his head. Aaron grabbed his arm. Marcus, what do you hear? He looked up at her with wide eyes. Not an echo. Not a memory. The core is alive, and it's calling for help. Outside, lightning flashed across the alien sky. The towers shook and a low rumble rolled through the ground. The calm world of harmony no longer felt peaceful. It felt like something ancient was waking beneath them. Something that had waited too long to be free. And Marcus Hale, the human once taken as a prisoner, now held the key to the fate of two worlds. The night sky burned with silver lightning. From the highest towers of the Zorai city, the ground itself seemed to breathe. The core was waking. Marcus stood at the balcony of his chamber, staring down at the glowing streets. The air trembled faintly, like something alive beneath the surface. He could feel it again, the faint hum inside his mind, the living presence calling to him through the bond. Free us. Free yourself. Behind him, Aaron, Sira, and Lyra were preparing quietly. They knew what they were about to do could end their lives, yet none of them hesitated. The lower chamber is sealed, Aaron said, tightening the silver straps on her robe. Only council members have access. But there's an old tunnel beneath the Hall of Harmony. It was used long ago during the First War. If we reach it, we can enter unseen. Marcus nodded. And if the guards catch us? Sira looked up with her calm, serious eyes. Then justice will be fast. Lyra smirked softly, trying to lighten the heavy air. Let's make sure they don't catch us then. They moved through the silent streets under the cover of the storm. The air glowed faintly with blue sparks. The Zorai citizens stayed inside their homes, unaware that the core's rhythm was shifting beneath them. Every few steps, Marcus felt a pulse travel through his chest as if something inside him beat in time with the planet. They reached the Hall of Harmony just before dawn. The building loomed like a mountain of light, its walls alive with moving symbols. Inside, the air was heavy and cold. The old tunnel Aaron spoke of was hidden behind one of the lower pillars, disguised by a veil of silver light. Aaron pressed her hand against it, and the light flickered open. Once we go in, the bond may grow stronger. Stay focused, she warned. Marcus followed her into the dark. The tunnel was narrow, filled with a strange mist that shimmered faintly with color. Every sound seemed distant, as if the air swallowed it whole. They walked in silence for several minutes before Lyra whispered, "Do you feel it? The voices?" Marcus nodded. He could hear faint echoes all around them. Soft, broken whispers in languages he didn't know. Some were human, some were alien, but all of them carried the same message. Help us, Sira spoke quietly. Those are the lost minds, the ones who broke the bond. Their thoughts remain trapped inside the core. Marcus stopped walking. You mean they're still alive? No, Sira said softly. Not as you understand it. The core feeds on the energy of connected minds. When someone rejects the link, it consumes what's left of them to keep itself stable. Marcus felt cold run down his spine. So that's the real alien justice. They moved deeper until the tunnel opened into a vast chamber. The core of Unity stood before them, a massive floating sphere of light and shadow. It pulsed like a heart, sending waves of silver energy through the air. The ground vibrated with each beat. Marcus stepped forward, feeling the pull grow stronger. His mind filled with flashes, images of ancient Zorai battles, of worlds burning, of leaders binding themselves to the core to stop the war. The energy was immense, endless but broken. Aaron touched his arm. Be careful. The core will sense you. I think it already does, Marcus said quietly. The sphere flared suddenly, blinding them. A deep voice filled the chamber, echoing through their minds. Human. You were not chosen to enter. Marcus stood his ground. I came to set you free. Freedom? The voice thundered. We are unity. We are order. Without us, chaos returns, Sira cried out, clutching her head. It's inside the bond. It's trying to take control. Marcus could feel it now. Waves of emotion flooding his mind. It wasn't evil, but desperate, like a machine that had forgotten what it was built for. He shouted over the roar in his head. You've trapped millions of minds in here. You call it peace, but it's slavery. The light flickered. We gave them harmony. They gave us life. Marcus reached out, his hand glowing faintly with energy from the bond. You don't need their lives anymore. Let go. For a moment, everything stopped. The voices in his head turned to whispers. He could feel Aaron, Sira, and Lyra beside him, their emotions strong, steady, and warm. Through them, he pushed his thought forward, not as a command, but as a plea. End the cycle. Set them free. The core trembled. Cracks of golden light ran across its surface. The voices cried out louder, thousands at once, some joyful, some terrified. Then in an instant, the energy collapsed inward with a sound like thunder. Marcus was thrown back. The chamber shook violently. Alarms echoed through the tunnels. Aaron grabbed his hand. You broke its seal. We have to go, now! Lyra helped Sira to her feet as the walls began to split. Silver light poured from the cracks like molten fire. The core's heartbeat turned into a wild roar. As they ran, Marcus heard the voice one last time. Soft now. Almost human. Thank you. Remember the rule. Balance must remain. They burst out of the tunnel into the open air. The sky above the city blazed with light. Towers shook and waves of energy spread across the horizon. Sira looked back, eyes wide with shock. You didn't destroy it, you changed it. Aaron nodded slowly. The core is awake, but it's no longer bound to the council. Lyra looked at Marcus. What happens now? Marcus stared at the glowing sky. The voice of the core had vanished, but he could still feel its presence deep in his mind. Calmer now, almost peaceful. He exhaled slowly. Now, we find out what freedom really means. But even as he spoke, a new light appeared on the horizon, an entire fleet of Zorai warships descending through the clouds. The council had discovered their defiance, and the final battle for justice was about to begin. The sky above Harmony burned with silver fire. The Zorai warships descended through the storm clouds, their massive hulls glowing with blue energy. The air shook with thunder, and the city below trembled like it feared what was coming. Marcus stood beside Aaron, Sira, and Lyra on the balcony of the Hall of Harmony. The core had changed. The pulse in the ground no longer felt cold and mechanical. It felt alive, almost calm. But the Zorai Council had seen everything. To them, Marcus was no longer a guest. He was a criminal who had broken their sacred law. The fleet will reach us in minutes, Sira said, her voice steady but full of sadness. They will try to restore the core's control. Marcus clenched his fists. Then we can't let them. Aaron looked at him. The council will destroy anything that threatens their order. They will erase us if they must. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes bright. Then let's show them what true harmony means. Before anyone could respond, a massive holographic projection appeared above the city. The image of the Zorai supreme leader, her golden eyes blazing. Human, her voice thundered through every street. You have violated the sacred bond. You have broken the law that has kept the galaxy in peace for 10,000 years. Marcus raised his head, shouting toward the sky. Peace built on chains isn't peace. You've turned life into a prison. The leader's expression didn't change. Without the core, we all die. You have doomed us all. Aaron stepped forward. No, he has freed us. The core still lives, but now it breathes. It no longer controls. The leader's gaze turned cold. Then you are traitors too. The warships fired. Blue energy bolts streaked through the sky, striking the outer towers. Explosions echoed across the city. Marcus grabbed Erin's hand and pulled her toward the central chamber. We need to reach the core again. If we can control it before the council does, maybe we can stop this. They ran through the shaking halls as the ground split beneath them. Zorai's soldiers appeared, their armor glowing with light. Arn and Sira fought back with waves of psychic energy, their hands glowing bright silver. Lyra pulled Marcus forward, guiding him through the chaos. The deeper they went, the louder the heartbeat of the core grew. It was calling to Marcus again, stronger than ever. Come, balance must be restored. They reached the chamber just as part of the ceiling collapsed behind them. The core floated above the ground, radiating golden light. It pulsed slowly like a massive living star trapped underground. Erin shouted over the rumble. Marcus, the core is responding to you. It trusts you now. He stepped forward, his chest glowing faintly with the bond's light. He could feel everything. Every Zorai mind, every human heartbeat still connected across the stars. The core wasn't just energy. It was consciousness. Millions of voices merged into one. The supreme leader appeared at the entrance, surrounded by guards. Stop this! If you merge with the core, it will collapse both our species. Marcus turned, his voice calm but firm. No, if I merge with it, I can stabilize it when and without the council's control. You'll die, she shouted. He smiled faintly. Maybe. But this time no one else will. Erin's eyes filled with tears. Marcus, you don't have to. He looked at her, at Sira and Lyra, and shook his head. You showed me what harmony really means. It's not about obedience. It's about choice. Then he stepped into the core. Light exploded through the chamber. The energy lifted him from the ground. His body dissolved into waves of gold and blue light, merging with the heart of the core. The entire city shook, and for a moment, every Zorai and every human across the stars saw the same vision. A vast sky filled with light, where two worlds touched and became one. The warship stopped firing. The council's projection vanished. Silence spread across harmony. When the light faded, Marcus was gone. The core no longer glowed with fire. Instead, it shimmered softly, alive but peaceful. A gentle hum filled the air, steady, balanced, calm. Erin stepped forward, her face wet with tears. He's in part of it now. Sira placed a hand over her heart. He chose harmony in his own way. Lyra smiled faintly, her voice trembling. He changed everything. Outside, the clouds broke apart. The twin moons shone down on the city, lighting the silver towers with soft golden light. The Zorai fleet hovered silently above, no longer attacking. Slowly, their ships turned and began to drift away. In the following days, the council dissolved. The core no longer demanded obedience. The Zorai were free to think, to feel, to live as individuals once again. The humans who had been brought to harmony stayed, no longer prisoners but allies. Every night, Arn, Sira, and Lyra would stand by the balcony and feel the faint warmth of the core in the air. Sometimes when the wind was still, they could hear his voice, faint but clear. Keep the balance, and never let peace become a cage again. And so the legend of Marcus Hale, the human who defied alien justice, spread across the galaxy. Some called him a rebel, others a savior, but among both humans and Zorai, his name came to mean something far greater, the bridge between freedom and unity. The stars above harmony glowed brighter than ever before, and for the first time in history, peace was not forced. It was chosen.